Hi, I'm Alex Jann. Welcome to my studio here in the south of the UK. I run a record label called Censor Music, and I've got a hybrid-based studio focused around lots of different outboard and classic synths and drum machines. The Censor Music is a vinyl label predominantly, but with digital coverage. But we also have Censor Data Point, which is also kind of additional label in the family of Censor. We've had artists on there recently such as EKATA, we've had ARA-U on there, FRB, which is another alias, people like Lucy on remix, and also an artist called Pathogen. But also on the vinyl side of things, we've had London Modular Alliance, Assembler Code, Zeta Reticular, lots of different artists over the years, but very much focused around technology and producers that I believe are pushing the sound forward for modern electro. The reason I got into making electro really did come down to the equipment and the technology. It's a really powerful dance floor focused sound, which I really like, but always a lot of emphasis on technology. So whether that be the machines that are used or the thoughts or the sci-fi kind of background, obviously it's something that massively inspires me and my music. When I first started making music, I actually learned more in the analog domain, very much focused around consoles and additional synths, drum machines, outboard equipment and effects. But obviously the sort of technology and changes that have come with DAW and being able to work in a more hybrid workflow is something that I've managed to really adapt to. A lot of the studios that I enjoy working in have a mix of both of that analog heart, but then the digital kind of mind, if you like, within it. With a hybrid setup, I want to make sure that audio is always connected to all the instruments. So if I want to be able to multi-track individual takes or machines, I can easily do that. But obviously the control of those sequences and synths is really important as well. I still like to work in the MIDI domain and also CV and gate with things like the modular and other kind of older synths that I have. I've used lots of different MIDI interfaces over the years, but I chose the iConnectivity mioXL for my setup, and actually that then grew into two different separate units because I can really utilize the RTP-MIDI side of the unit. The sequentic CYRK is a major part of my workflow, and I like kind of having that one processor to be able to sequence the whole studio. So the way that I can easily address every single individual synth that's connected via the mioXL is I can easily set that up on the CYRK to say, right, host channel 1, for example, will be going to, say, my Oberheim synth over there. I can easily select that and then set all my routings up and save that into the CYRK. So I don't actually have to have the computer on to be able to hear audio coming through my RME, but also the benefit of that is I don't have to have the DAW running if I just want to kind of have a doorless jam. After purchasing my first mioXL, I've recently bought a second unit, which is actually now working as my MIDI main network. The great thing about that is that instead of having loads of separate MIDI cables for in and out throughout the whole system and all around the studio, sort of being a bit of a cluttered mess, I'm able to use one Ethernet connection. So that Ethernet connection brings all of my synths connected locally into the network on one Ethernet port. The idea of trying to minimize my cables and analog cables is something that's really important for me. It just makes it a bit easier when I'm sort of moving and designing the way I'm having my equipment set up. I use a Dante network, which is integrated into my MADI network. So that kind of covers all my audio and playback and routing. But then obviously the mioXLs work together in a MIDI network in a very similar kind of way. So the first mioXL that I got, that easily addresses most of the synths that I have, but one of the things that was starting to get quite cumbersome was having loads of different cable runs everywhere throughout the whole studio. By adding a second mioXL, I don't need to sort of worry about plugging things in and out with lots of different cables. With one Ethernet connection, I can use it like I use my Dante or MADI network. One simple connection to the devices, and then I can bring that into the RTP network, which again can be used either via CYRK or it can be used via my DAW, depending on whatever the job is that's come through the door. The benefit of having a network system like I have in the studio is that everything is connected at any one time. So when I have people that come over, want to write or collaborate, I can easily just say, jump onto a particular instrument, hit record and start making music. That is the real plus point, I think, for having a big high channel count when it comes to audio. The great thing again is having the mioXL is that gives me that same connectivity and workflow, but on the MIDI side of things, everything's connected, everything's clocked, everything's ready to go. So again, wherever kind of inspiration takes me, as cheesy as it sounds, I can easily jump onto another machine or instrument without having to sort of give it too much thought. That for me really does open up a lot of different possibilities when it comes to me and how I write in my studio.